Hello, everyone, and welcome to our lovely Library Learning Lounge. Today we have Deborah Scott with us from NewsBank, and we're going to go all about NewsBank in a moment. But before we get started, I just want to give a little bit of a background on what NewsBank is and then walk us through what the schedule will look like for today. So, NewsBank is a powerful news research resource that supports student learning, scholarly inquiry, and real world context across disciplines. And I want to say first off that this collection was made possible by our wonderful partnership with the University of Arizona Libraries and Michael Brewer, who brought us into their contract. So we're really grateful to the UA Libraries for letting us into this wonderful and valuable collection. A little housekeeping just to ensure that we have a high quality recording. After I introduce Deborah, I'm going to take myself off camera just so that we can have a cleaner recording. And I would welcome you all to do the same, just so that we have can see the screen a little bit better. I'm going to be sending some links in the chat as we go along. We created, or actually, not we, Karen created a wonderful news research tip sheet that I'm going to be sharing with you all, and an HTML announcement for NewsBank that you guys can put into your courses so that you can let your students know all about NewsBank. So I'll share that. But the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to find a NewsBank in our library. Just make sure you know how to get there, and then I'm going to hand it over to Deborah. So let me go ahead and bring over the library and walk you through that. Hold one second. Get out of my way. Here we go. Okay. So hopefully this works. I'm dragging over this. Can you see the library homepage now?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for confirming, Deborah. I don't trust anything anymore. So this is the library, as you all know well. So the easiest and quickest way to get to our newspaper collection, you might see it right here. So this is probably the easiest way. You could also get through databases A to Z and go to N for NewsBank, but I actually prefer to go right here to this gray button that says newspapers, and we have all of our newspaper collections here. This is not in alphabetical order, which we may want to consider doing at some point, but as you can see, we have all of our NewsBank collections here. We have them all parsed out, or just the full collection here. So this is Access World News and Research, Asian Life, Black Life, and Hispanic Life. And Deborah is going to go through all of those, I believe. So I'm going to hand it over to her to walk you through these wonderful collections and what they have to offer. So I'm going to stop my share and hand it over to you. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Deborah. Really appreciate it.
Thank you all. I appreciate the time and uh as Kira mentioned, there if you have questions, put them in the chat and we will try and get to them. Um news Thank you so much again for letting me be here. So, NewsBank Access World News is our largest collection of news information. NewsBank started about 50 years ago as a clipping service um, because we understood the value of local news reporting and newspaper information. And now we have global content um, with news content from all over the world. I will jump right into the source list here, the A to Z source list, where you have access to almost 13,000 sources from around the world. You can navigate this list with the drop-down menu here and the tabs here. Clicking on the date, the collection really goes back mostly to the 1980s, but there are a few titles here from the 70s and one from 1968. Another I'll get into the different types of information we have here in a minute. The format is in an image format or a text format. And one bonus feature here are the languages. There are over 15 different languages represented in the resource. We go from Afrikaans to Zulu, and I'm going to, with English and Spanish being the most represented. Here's there are 217 sources in Spanish, and you can see they're from around the world. This is a great collection that goes back to 1982 for El Nuevo Herald, the 90s for some other titles too. So a great bonus, I think, resource in Access World News. So A little bit about my agenda today. I want to give you an overview of the product. We'll do some how to navigate the product and how other universities are using this, and with time for questions at the end. So, um, this, you also have access to uh, a couple of three of our Life in America series, and I will get to that in a moment. So let me go back to Access World News. So a student can look through this content with a basic keyword search, or they can go into our suggested topics areas where our editors have come up with searches on a variety of topics, and or they can use these quick links on the right side of the screen. And this is where we customize it for your institution. So we've created modules just to make the collection a little smaller. So we have um, a module of resources just from Arizona, and I realized that this is a global campus. So we this is how we just set it up for everybody. But I wanted to let you know and think about as I go through this, we could create quick links, we call them, or modules for business news, for Spanish language, for a geographic region. So keep that in mind, and just let Kira know, and then she'll let me know when we can set these up for you. So um, generally, I go into let me show you how a module would work. If I was looking for just uh, the university, let me, I usually start with doing a search on the university. And since this, again, is a global campus, I'm going to do this search a couple times just to show you a couple things. So running a search, University of Arizona Global Campus. If you have a phrase or a couple words together, put quotes around them. That will let the system look for those together. Uh, this first article here is from November 25th, just some navigation. Here's the navigation bar at the top, your citation information here. Uh, the majority of articles that students pull up will be in this text format. All of our text articles have a read news document feature. They, if I scroll down, you can see our keywords are highlighted. So a student can adjust the size. Here's the citation information. You can export this citation or copy and paste it. We can email, print, download this article. At any time a student downloads or saves or prints an article, we prompt them to add their citation information so they don't have to go back and look for that information. They can also save this to a folder, and we can create a uh, session folder with here's a personal folder with just an email address and a password. And that's handy for saving searches, saving articles. And here is the permalink for this article that can be posted in a course page. So let me go back to the results to point out a couple of things here. Um, you'll notice these thumbnails look a little different. So this is a text article, and let me show you another article from the Arizona Daily Star. So this is where they're talking about the University of Arizona Global Campus. And if I go back to results and look at this thumbnail, this again is from the Arizona Daily Star, but this is the image format of this article. So in the image format, the publisher will send us um, a PDF of the entire paper. So here's the article as it appears in the print copy. Right here, an opinion piece by Patricia Prelock. So all of the navigation is the same except for the ability to clip parts of the article. So whatever student chooses, we ask, do you want the full page or select a clip, or you can use the little scissors up here, and perhaps you want um, this whole article, or you want just the um, just her photo. So you can do this, and then as you download it or save it, we prompt the student to add their citation information. So that's really the only difference, some navigation with the text and image. As I said, this is a PDF of the entire paper, page by page, so you can navigate through the paper by this drop down here or the thumbnails here on the right. We could pop up to the front page of this title. So we don't. What some of our libraries will do is um, put a. Let me go back to the NewsBank here. Put a link here for some specific titles to encourage browsing of their local paper. But since you're global, this offers an opportunity for students or instructors to go look at their local paper. So if somebody's looking for the San Francisco Chronicle, you can see we have three formats for this title. They send us a text feed from 1985. There's an image feed from 2017 and their web edition. So that's important because the web edition is what we look at when we're going to the newspaper's website from our phone or computer. And articles online may be longer than the ones that made it to the print edition, or they're articles that didn't make it to the print edition. So you can just know that the content you're getting all the content from a publisher. So if I wanted to look at today's San Francisco Chronicle, I can click on that link, a calendar pops up, and then just clicking on today's date, here's the front page of the Chronicle. So I could read the sports, I can go to the crossword puzzle, just another added bonus feature, I guess, for this content in addition to the research database. So that's some navigation. I want to show you a couple of things here. I have some slides. This slide is from our library instruction guide, and uh, we have found that university students will use Access World News for three different ways. They want to look for multiple perspectives on an issue at a given point in time, and then how the narrative of that issue evolves over the time, perhaps, and then global perspectives on an issue. We've put together a few slides that also show how uh, students are using this resource. So if there's an event like a violent crime or mass shooting, we immediately go to news to see where it happened, get more information on it. But then we start seeing research on what happened in the past, search shootings or crimes, and then all of these different types of issues that stem from that. And students can get a great deal of information from newspaper information. And I should point out that back to the value of local information, um, if a shooting happens or a hurricane goes through Florida, we have it on the national news. I'm based in California. It was on the news, so I was following it. I have friends in Florida. But then after a week, California was having a drought, so our news wasn't covering it as much. But the local newspapers were talking about all of this preparation, aftermath, insurance, FEMA's response, homelessness. So you can get a great deal of information on a topic. And then students were looking into past. How was the FEMA response compared to Katrina back in the 80s? This, you have over 40 years worth of information in this database, which doesn't seem like a long time ago to me, but it is historical information. So I wanted to share that with you. I'm going to jump back into the product and um, run a couple searches. So I'm going to do a climate change search in the whole database. So putting my words in quotes, there are 7 million articles that contain that term climate change since 1970. That's kind of a lot of information. You can see from this timeline here, I think this is really interesting to see how a top term has been used over time. I've seen students run a search on race relations or policing, and you can just see how, again, how a term has been used over time. So I'd like to modify this a little bit, and there are a couple ways for students to do it. We can um, add a term like this and flooding. I could go to my advanced search, which brings up a form here where we can take our terms and search in different fields of an article. I'll keep it at all text and I'll add flooding, changing this to all text. So that should narrow my results a little bit. Uh, so that brings me down to 500,000 articles. And I just wanted to show you that here's some um, articles from today from around the world. Here's Louisiana, here's Australia. So now I can go over to the filters on the left side of the screen to adjust by date. Here's a list of the types of news information that you can find in Access World News. So some newspapers have blogs. There are college and university newspapers. The journals included in this collection are business and trade journals. There's a small module of news magazines like The Atlantic, Smithsonian, Newsweek. So there are newsletters, newspapers, wire services, transcripts from uh, broadcast transcripts from television and radio programs, web-only sources, small newspapers, large newspapers. So that's the content. You can search or filter this by year, by source name, by language. Um, and I like to go by location. So clicking on more options brings up this screen where you can see how many articles we have by continent all the way down to the city level. So this is a great way for students to think about where they want their news information to come from. Am I interested in how Australia is handling the flooding or Europe? Um, we can click on states. This is a quick way to get to the state level. In our product, only Australia and the US are tagged as states. So this is a quick way for students to compare red states and blue states or urban and rural, um, coastal. So I could click on California and Florida, for example, and and that brings my results list down. Uh, if the thumbnail gives them a little bit of um, a bit of information about these articles, and you can see here's an image edition, here's a text edition. If they're interested in any of these articles, clicking the checkbox brings up the navigation here so they could save an article. If they like this, they can save the search in their folder. We can also create an alert at any time to where you're asking NewsBank to run this search up to 4 times a day, generally once a week, and then we send any new articles to this email address here. So that's really helpful. I want to show you a couple of things. Uh, this item here, hide duplicate articles, is the default is on. Some publishers own several newspapers and will send the same article to all of those titles. So that clutters up the results list. So we have hide duplicate articles on, and if there are articles published in other publications, you'll see that. So this article was also published in the Orange County Register. Um, so perhaps the student wants to cite the article from this publication, the Orange County rather than Long Beach, for example. Uh, so that is navigating um, text and image with a keyword search. Let me show you a couple other ways to do that. We're finding that the suggested topics areas are used a lot as a research starter. So as I mentioned, this is where our editors have come up with searches on a variety of topics. This is suggested topics is a great way for students to find a topic if they're not quite sure. Um, we gives you just click through these suggested topics tiles and you can really see the broad coverage in this product. So I am going to go to Environment Studies and click on Climate Change. And this is the example of the advanced search that our editors put together. They used climate change in quotes, but only in the headline. They've added some terms. They have a date range of just the past 12 months. They're looking for a larger article and not global warming. So that gives us 4,500 results, which is significantly less than my 7 million articles. And the really nice thing about this is the student can edit this for their needs. So perhaps they want to look at climate change over time. So I'm going to take out the date and I want to add my flooding term. So they can get a really good start to their research without having to think about keywords as much or even Boolean logic. So this gives me some customized results, and now I can go to select by location or type of information I need. Um, so again, I suggest or recommend that depending on the assignment, just have the students go to these suggested topics areas. And again, you can see um, different subjects that are included here. Also, if for some reason you're um, can't find anything in the suggested topics, just let us know. For example, some um, instructor was teaching history, but through the lens of a commodity. So they reached out to us, and we created these history of chocolate um, suggested topics. The editors can do this pretty quickly, and they really enjoy. They like doing this. So let me look at my
Deborah,
map.
is it possible? I don't want to interrupt your flow, or if you have some specific things you want to do, but we do have a suggestion in the chat. Somebody was asking if you could do a search to show an example of how a country's economic situation, how you could research a specific country's economic situation if somebody's doing some marketing research or economic program research, if there's a way to do that.
Sure.
Okay, great.
That's a good segue, actually. I was going to go into a map search. So
Oh,
um,
fantastic.
there's a couple ways to do that. We can look into economic, there's several topics in economics in our suggested topics areas. We can also go into, where's international? International studies, where we can go into, we already have something for Canada or Chile or Venezuela is
I'm
down
sorry, could you show,
here.
I totally missed that. Could you show how you got there again, one more time?
Sure.
That looks, wow, look at that, how many different countries you have here. That's
So
amazing.
that is just under international
International
studies.
studies. Okay, great.
Um, and some of these are cross-referenced, so we could even go to politics and find different countries if you're looking for more the I know Venezuela's in here, or maybe not. Uh, but you can see we have
I
several
see
countries here.
Venezuela in there. I
Oh,
see it.
okay. I
Yeah,
missed
there
it.
it is.
But anyway, this is a quick way to do it. Um, and I can go back here. You can also go to map search where we give you the advanced search form, and then you can, and then there's this nifty map. So you could select a country, for example. Uh, Down here, and now I can go into Venezuela and see, okay, we have six sources from Venezuela. Um, or so I can check this here, and then I could go into economic issues or economy, econo. And this is an excellent way to show um, using the asterisk, which is a little Boolean. So this would give us economics, economy, economical. So running a search like that can be customized for the student. Uh, you can see we're pulling up articles in Spanish because I um, selected Venezuela, and that's actually a good. Let me see their source names. So it looks like we have most of their sources are in Spanish, but I think you're getting the general idea, I hope. Um,
And I saw that there was a translation prompt that came up, so you could get these pages translated into
ex
English as well.
exactly, you can. So just again, that's just part of it's the original Spanish. You could get them translated into English. So there are various ways to get into this different content. Uh, I'd like to show you with when I'm on the map page, a couple of ways to show different points of view. So I'm going to click on the Middle East here, and then my search will be Hamas and ceasefire, since that's been in the news lately. So you can see with just you could take an event um, or this issue and get a different points of view on this. So here's some articles from the Jerusalem Post. This is a Middle Eastern source, in Istanbul, Turkey. So it's pretty easy, Lebanon, for a student to see different points of view on a topic. I've done a similar search with the war in Ukraine. Uh, I'd like to, one other search I ran, I think I did a map search of the whole of the world. No, I was targeted in Europe, and I was just doing a search and vaccines or vaccinations. So um, there's a large outbreak of the flu here in the United States. So here's a way to just the map just allows students to quickly decide, okay, I'm just interested in what's going on in Europe. So then they can target that. And I found here that there's an interesting article here from the London Times about influenza, but they were trying to think uh, it's not just vaccines, but maybe it's a really cloudy winter. So it might be a lack of vitamin D. So I thought that was a good example of I'm looking for vaccinations and influenza, but wow, this vitamin D might be something, it's serendipitous discovery, and maybe the student wants to add that to their search. So then they can go back to the results and um, and add another term, perhaps vitamin D. So we're trying to make this easy enough for students to go back and tweak their search and save their results. So that's some of the basics in Access World News. So I think I'll pause to see if there are any other questions, and then I'll jump into the Life in America collections.
There's none in the chat. Anyone want to come off mic or put in the chat if you have any other questions about this collection in particular, Access World News, before we go on to the other collections?
Guess that's
I
good.
guess, yeah. Well, I mean, you've shown us so many. I was definitely interested in learning more about this collection, and I will tell you that a lot of the search features you showed us today are new to me, even though I spend a good amount of time kind of poking around. It's really incredible how many different ways you can filter the results. It's really impressive. So thank you for showing us all
Oh,
that.
I'm so glad. I'm so
Yeah,
glad.
that's wonderful. And somebody just put in that it's a really comprehensive resource. Oh, and then we do have one question. Does it include social media by politicians in the collection?
No, so far we've not added any social media.
Okay, thank you for that information. Perfect. Well, if there's any other questions, you can put them in the chat, and then Deborah, feel free to show us the other wonderful collections that we have. Thank you.
Will do. So, and again, if there are any uh, quick links or actually two more things I want to show you in Access World News. Uh, our editors will come up monthly with a hot topic. So they will pull news items that were in the news for the past 30 days. So this is another way for students to get into the resource. So we have some uh, news items here with a little blurb about it, and then a search that will go right into the resource to pull up current information. They also put together a list of daily headlines with lesson plans. So some professors will use the hot topics or the daily headlines to tell students to go look at the headlines before class, and we want to discuss current events. So again, you can go right to this article, and there is also a search here, find related articles. The database is updated daily. Um, Sometimes varies by publication, as some newspapers only publish 2 or 3 days a week. My little weekly newspapers in this product, so um, updated as needed. Uh, you will. They also put together a lesson plan for one of these headlines, and this is designed as a way to inspire professors to bring newspaper information into their courses. So it's used a lot in we market this to high school students as well. So um, some of it might be geared toward educational standards like this, but I think it's really interesting to show how you could take this particular article and put it into your courses. So I just want to let you know that that's available with and we have a library of over 5,000 of these lesson plans on a variety of topics. So that's something else to explore. Uh, so we also have these collections, Hispanic Life in America, Black Life in America, and Asian Life in America. So these products pull uh, from Access World News, but also all of our newspaper products. The product can go back to 1700s. Your subscription currently is just with the more recent historical information from 1976. We have, you can do a keyword search here on something like race relations, for example, and it will search all of the information. So the newest was from today. The oldest article is from the 1970s. And that's kind of interesting to see how did they deal with perhaps race relations or other things back then. The older articles will be in an image format because we just scan old newspapers. So this is all of the navigation still appears, but it's really interesting to see this. Here's an opinion piece discussing race relations. So that, from a navigational standpoint, all the everything is the same uh, as with Access World News. We've also given you, these are suggested searches that are very similar to our suggested topics. So, for example, with Black Life in America, it's not just race relations, but there's also all of these wonderful subcategories about things that happened in this time period. So you could learn about Soul Train or um, some movies and books that were published during this time period. And here's Toni Morrison wins the Nobel Prize for Literature. So here's an article about her when this happened in 1993. We can also take out the date and see about how they were talking about this in September of last year about um, celebrating Toni Morrison and mentioning her Nobel Prize. It works well with book reviews. You can see how that's been used over time, music, uh, literature. So I encourage you to look through um, some of these suggested searches areas just to see how um, some of this might work in your classrooms. Hispanic life in America functions the same way. The content dates are a little differently, but usually the 2000s, 2010s to today. Again, there are other series available, and I'm not a salesperson. I just wanted to let you know it's available and contact whoever you need to if that's something that you think might be um, important. There is an item in here called historical reflections. So if we don't have um, the content that goes back there, Reflections on the Canales Investigation of 1919, we're pulling newspaper articles that did a retrospective and with a history of that of that event. And it provides a lot of great information about the event as well as how it's uh, and the future and how the event has been remembered. Uh, I will also tell you that each of these Life in America collections have a Learn More About This Database tab that does give you a little more information. It's about the whole content of this, so it'll tell you some of the stuff that it contains from historical content, but then also going into how each of these works. So I wanted to let you know that that's available. Uh, and any questions on I know it's kind of brief on the Life in America collections, but I do encourage you to take a look at those to see how they might fit into your courses. They, as I said, they're pulling on everything that's in Access World News, but with some added content, Spanish language content, or perhaps uh, Hispanic newspapers or African American newspapers that that weren't included in Access World News. So some of that content is available. Uh, Finally, we have this is our corporate website, and under support, um, we do have marketing tools available. So if you're that includes graphics. We have short tutorial videos, how-to videos on how to, and I can send some, this is a lot here, but I can send some shorter videos to Kira to distribute to everyone, or put on your website under training videos here. These are short tutorial videos on, for example, how to use suggested topics. And that might be something that you could post in your course pages they're less than 2 minutes long. It'll give the students a little overview of how to use the products. And Kira, maybe there is a support page on the library um, website where we could post some of these tutorial videos.
Absolutely. We have a place we can link to some of that. So let's, yeah, definitely talk offline. And then we will be sending a follow-up email to everyone who registered, and we will be including some of these links in that follow-up email as well. So thank you for that, Deborah. That's awesome.
That is great. I am open for questions.
Great. Anyone have any questions or anything that they would like Deborah to go over while we have her? Just making a note to include that tutorial page.
Do you have a section in here on current AI use? Or where
Uh,
would we look for that?
that is a great question. AI, we have added AI under technology, and these are all of the different subcategories, subtopics under AI.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Yeah, we've gotten a lot of questions on that. And personally, I had no idea that there would be this many subtopics under AI.
That's impressive. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Great.
Yeah, a little scary actually.
No, yeah, I know. That's true. This is the world we're living in. Any other questions? That was great. Any other questions about any of the functionality or anything? I do have a few questions I can ask as well, but I just want to make sure everyone in attendance has a chance to ask.
Kira, this is Bill. I just
Hey,
got one
Bill.
question. And thank you. This is very informative, and I like the NewsBank feature. Question I have operationally is this is such a great tool, and the library and writing center are just so important to everything we do. Is there a way to exploit this with some kind of universal announcement throughout the courses? I mean, I think this news bank, again, I'm not sure how much of a differentiator it is with our brand, but to me, I think this is a big value add to stay current and relevant with trends and news and business and so forth. So even though we're going to put your announcement in the course, I have that. I open it
Good.
up there.
I just wanted to put it back in the chat as well. Yeah. So, Bill, to your point, would love people to post the announcement, the news research HTML announcement we created. And you could also ask to get that added into your course as a permanent announcement. If anyone's interested in doing that, they could submit CFF for that. But, otherwise, you could just ask your faculty to post it, and that could just be one of in their arsenal of HTML announcements we offer. So hopefully
Okay,
that's
no, that's
helpful.
good. That's good. Thank you. Thank you,
You're
Kara.
welcome. No, thank you, Bill. Appreciate that. Any other questions for Deborah?
And I'll add on to that that students will use whatever the instructors recommend,
Yes.
even if mom works for a database company. Um, so what you recommend to your students is really powerful.
Deborah, I have a quick question for you. I was wondering if you could spend a little bit of time going over some of NewsBank's accessibility features. Accessibility is a
Oh, right.
prominent topic, and we want to make sure that everything that we put into courses is accessible for students. So just wanted to kind of go through some of that if you're able to do that.
Um, yes, the with the text articles, all of the text articles here have the read news document feature.
Great.
So that is there. The image articles are something that we and other publishers are working on, as this is a PDF of the entire paper. Um, so the answer is currently we're working on some accessibility that's going to be rolled out um, with the image editions. But if there's if there's an image edition of an article, there will also be a corresponding text of that article as well in the product because a publisher won't just send us the images. They first of all send the text as a separate feed, and then the image is a separate feed. So all of the articles in the on the image edition will be available as a text document that has the read news document feature. We also, down at the bottom here, it is privacy policy. Um, we have an announcement on accessibility. I think it's on our corporate website here, down at the bottom. And I will send that to you, Kira, so you have an know where that information is. And here we are, accessibility. So this is going to be updated as we update it with the upcoming regulations or requirements. So here we can go into our historical collections. You all don't have any of our historical information except a little bit through Life in America series. So does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much. And then I can also include the link to that accessibility statement in our follow-up email as well. But I see that you are striving to WCAG 2.0 AA standards, which is what we use as our benchmark for what we add into courses. So appreciate your diligence with that and working towards full accessibility. So thank you. Any other questions does anyone have at this time? And one of the questions I had, it looks like I think you probably already answered this. I was just wondering if there's anything that you would recommend faculty to go in and that you didn't have too much of a chance to play around with. Is there a particular feature or tool that you would recommend that faculty spend some time exploring that you didn't have a chance to really get too deeply into today?
That is a really good question. I would encourage go through your suggested topics area to see just the variety of information that is in there. I would play around with uh, looking at the hot topics and diving right into some of those. Uh, and with the Life in America, if those um, work with your courses, look at some of these again suggested searches, just suggested topics areas to see uh, just how broad the coverage is in these collections. That would be
Well,
my
that's perfect.
suggestion.
No, that's perfect. I appreciate that. And we're seeing some faculty said that they are going to use, I'll put a link to this collection in their course, which is wonderful to see. We always love that.
Yay!
So yes, thank you all for attending. There is so much content in here, and that is why we're so grateful that we have access to this very vast collection that is updated daily, as you can see. Brand new news topics coming in every single day. So thank you for that. Before we go, I do want to remind everybody that we will be sending out the recording, and then I also want to show you when the recordings come, you could always go back and look at all of our Library Learning Lounge recordings on our YouTube channel. I just put the link in the chat as well for that. And then the final thing I'll say is that we've recently been instituting a survey at the end of the webinar, and you will automatically receive that. Would love for you to fill it out. It's only 2 questions, and it really helps us to improve these webinars. We're really looking to make sure they're maximally useful to all of you. So please take some time to do that. And we're definitely getting a lot of praise for you, Deborah, saying it's been really helpful, and they're grateful that you're able to come today. So, and I
Thank
am as
you.
well. So I just appreciate your time. Thank you all for joining, and everyone have a really good rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks,
Take care,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.